By the way, he gave me permission to touch him.
All right, that's Joe Biden. Biden's problem is his ego, is Rich Lowry's latest column. Lowry's great, editor of National Review. A lot of his stuff ends up in the New York Post. Often a guest member of our good friend Chuck Todd on Meet the Press. And again, most importantly now, a Monday staple on the Bernie and Sid show here on 77 WABC. So, Rich, it doesn't matter how you get there. We all know that it was a double dribble by Ty Jerome, and it was a foul. That was a foul, and Guy did the amazing thing and buried all 3 free throws. Good for him, but it never should have gone to that. But it doesn't matter. Fact is, your team tonight is playing for the national championship, so congratulations.
I was afraid you were going to talk to me about basketball technicalities like double dribbles.
You know, every time they go, Michael Jordan used to travel every single time he touched the ball. You've heard that, right, Rich? Every time he took that extra step. But it is, look, it is kind of sad going back to the game before the Super Bowl, Rams Saints, mired in controversy. The game before college basketball, Super Bowl, right? UVA Auburn, mired in controversy. So that is kind of sad. But again, you, as a Cavalier, what do you care?
If you look really closely, you'll see the defender pulled Jerome's jersey slightly right before he went back to get the ball.
So you watched Jay Williams on ESPN yesterday too. He's like, well, you want to talk about a double dribble? He fouled him before he even double dribbled.
But it was amazing. You know, I hate blown calls, so I'm really sorry over that, and it just adds to the heartbreak. But UVA was down by 4 points with 8 seconds left and won in regulation. It was just amazing. And Kyle Guy is such a good kid. I mean, don't forget about the desperation 3 he made to get it to 1.
Yeah.
You know, that was an amazing shot.
Yep.
And just, you know, you got to make your free throws, and they missed one right at the end there, and it cost them.
Yeah, it did. So, but still, you'll be crying in your beer suds, I think. If they win the whole thing, Auburn will be in the rearview mirror. So anyway, congratulations to you on that, Rich Lowry. But look, to your column, Rich Lowry, Biden's problem is his ego, you write. And Joe Biden, again, we played the clip coming in on Friday. He joked about his touching scandal, which you write is not sexual, but affectionate. And the last week you said to us, you don't think Biden's actually going to run. What do you think this week?
It looks like he's completely in. I mean, he's basically openly said it in a couple different forums. And you know, last week I said if there's actual grope in there, he shouldn't run and wouldn't run. But maybe there isn't. And I think the basic problem is that Biden just thinks everyone is as into Biden as he is. So he's the great comforter, the encourager. So no matter who you are, and no matter what the circumstance, he's the one who's going to come and grab you by the shoulders and Eskimo kiss you, and you're going to love this. And actually, the woman who first came forward over the Eskimo kiss, and I love that we have a scandal now involving an Eskimo kiss, said that other people told her when she said she was kind of disturbed by this and it made her uncomfortable. They're like, "What are you talking about? The Vice President of the United States Eskimo kissed you. You should be happy." And I think Biden that was his attitude. Everyone was going to be thrilled by this, and a lot of people were, but obviously not everyone.
Rich Lowry with us right here. And really, I could talk to you about Virginia and Gary Sanchez all day, but I guess we have to talk some politics. Hey, you mentioned Joe Biden's going to get in. One of the guys that is in, and a lot of you guys, the pros and the prognosticators, seem to think is in the final 4 of the Democrats. Beto O'Rourke, he comes out and calls Netanyahu a racist, elections in Israel. Now, for folks that don't know, Netanyahu is disliked by a major part of Israel. It's kind of like Donald Trump. It's one of those things where his supporters rabidly love him, and the folks that don't like him hate his guts. Very similar to what Trump goes through here in the United States. But with that said, how does O'Rourke get away with calling Netanyahu a racist? What does he come off saying that?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. It might be that Mayor Pete is stealing Beto's thunder. It's kind of the young, charismatic white guy.
The Indiana mayor who jumped in last Friday.
Right, and so maybe Beto's a little desperate, because he also, a day or two ago, said Trump's rhetoric is right out of the Third Reich.
What? Yeah, so that was Beto, yeah.
Yeah, he just might be desperate for attention, because, I mean, he had a splashy first day and raised $6 million, but Buttigieg has kind of, I try to avoid saying it, I think that's right, has kind of been eclipsing him lately, so I don't know whether it's a little desperation, or this is where just Beto thinks the party is, But I would think the appeal of Beto is not being as radical as the other Democrats and potentially being more electable, but I guess he thinks differently.
So is he out of your Final Four, kind of like what Joe Lenardi does with college basketball? If we assume Biden, Sanders, and Harris, the fourth spot is open. Last week was O'Rourke. Now it's the Indiana mayor. Based upon what he said about Trump in Germany and Netanyahu, are you kicking him out of the Final Four?
I don't have a Final Four. I think it's going to be too crazy to forecast at all. I just think Bernie is effectively the front runner now. Strong in the polls, kind of where the party is, a lot of fundraising, has done it before. So if I were just putting sheer odds, I'd probably put the odds higher on Bernie than anyone else at the moment.
Bernie Sanders. Now, he also was, first of all, over the weekend, he called for felons in jail should be able to vote. I mean, these people are, they're out of their minds. He was kissing Al Sharpton's butt on Friday, Bernie Sanders, as was all, they all were, and they're all for reparations. I mean, a lot of people say they're too crazy, they're shooting themselves in the foot. And that's why a guy like Buttigieg almost appeals to him, because he's sort of a moderate, he's a veteran. But what do you think about all this craziness, especially the kissing Al Sharpton's butt on over the weekend, the last 3 days?
Well, that's been going on for years and years, unfortunately. And it's just amazing when they call the other side, hate figures or try to make other people toxic. And then it's like they know nothing about Sharpton,
Right.
And of course they do know about him, they just don't care. Because Sharpton, a shrewd guy, and kind of made himself a kingmaker for that segment of the party. But I'd say I fear, and I'm going to be, there's something in here, some assumption that's totally wrong. We won't find out for a while why it's wrong, because it's really hard to guess who's electable. But I fear most Biden, Buttigieg, probably still O'Rourke, and then I hope most that they nominate Elizabeth Warren and Kamala and Bernie Sanders.
Fantastic. Rich Lowry, editor of National Review, with us as he is every Monday morning. So when a team is playing really, really badly, they fire the coach. And it's not the coach's fault, right? I mean, sometimes it's the owner's fault. Sometimes it's the GM's fault. Oftentimes it's the player's fault. But somebody's got to go when the team is not winning, so they fire the coach. That's basically Nielsen this morning, right? I mean, Trump on one hand says, hey, you did a good job. Then he goes, you got to get out. Too many migrants getting into the United States. But let's be honest, the Democrats won't work with her. They hate Donald Trump. So how do you blame Nielsen for this? You really can't. But if you fire the coach, you got to fire her.
Yeah, so obviously there's a lot of truth to that. She was in a real tough situation. There's no way for her or any DHS secretary to stop this crisis. You have to change the rules. That's obvious. But my understanding from talking to people inside is that there are still things at the margins, regulations and rules, that the DHS bureaucracy could have done to at least try to make a difference at the margins, and they didn't feel those things were happening or that she could make them happen. There's people who can command a bureaucracy, and there's some people who get run around by the bureaucracy, and they felt that she was the latter. She just didn't have the management skills or chops to get the bureaucracy that some of which is just really not sympathetic to the administration to do some things that they consider important at the margins.
And one of those things was appointing a new head of ICE, which the president reversed her appointment last week and is going with somebody else. So she was humiliated twice, but essentially the fault lies in Congress right now. And you're right about that, Rich Lowry. But we are out of time, Rich.
Hey, thanks so much, guys. Go UVA.
You're great. That's right.
Yep.
We'll root for them for you tonight.
That's it. We don't know anybody who went to Texas Tech. So,
The Red Raiders are screwed.
that's it. They're done. Well, Bobby Knight did coach her, didn't he? I think. Anyway, great job. Yes, he did. Great job, Rich Lowry. As always, we'll talk to you again next Monday. 1-800-848-WABC, 1-800-848-9222. We'll touch on that big game coming up next hour, as well as a Craig Carton sentencing, which went down on Friday. And we'll talk to the famed defense attorney, Joe Tacopina, about what the judge came down with on Friday here in New York. All that and more. We're back on a Monday right after this.
Driving with my eyes closed, I know every curve like the